Let's talk some divorce and tax considerations, because I got a feeling that a lot of people today might find themselves in some trouble with St. Patrick's Day being out, overnight, what have you.
Well, you start running your lips. You start admitting to things that you shouldn't, maybe even some things you didn't do, you just thought about.
And tax day is right around the bend on April the 15th. So Jarrod Oxendine, owner, CEO, and managing partner of Oxendine Law. You can check him out at oxlawfirm.com. Joins us, and like we said, today's theme is divorce and tax considerations. Jarrod, how you doing?
Gentlemen, good afternoon. Happy St. Patty's Day. And, yes, tax day is right around the corner, unfortunately.
All right, let me start with this. If you say something in your relationship, i.e. your marriage, when you are drunk, can you be held accountable?
Yes, you can. Just like in criminal law, the defense of, hey, I was drunk, so I didn't know what I was doing, I didn't know what I was saying, doesn't work. So even when you're drunk, you got to be held accountable, even if it's green beer you're drinking.
All right, so you're getting divorced, and let's say it's happening within the next week or so. April the 15th is coming up. How does divorce affect the tax filing status, if you will?
Sure. So if you're married as of December 31st of that tax year, you can file joint. But if you get divorced prior to December 31st, you have to file separately. Now, some people will choose to file separately even though they're married. You actually can do married but filing separately. If you do that, you've got to agree with your spouse who's going to claim like the mortgage interest deduction and the children as dependents.
So
something
the
else.
IRS.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do they need to know when you get divorced, or can you just proceed?
They're going to know about it because, all these years you've been filing these joint returns. You all of a sudden start filing individual. You actually have to check the box saying that you're single and not married. I'll tell you something else that some of these business owners and people with high assets need to watch out for. I see this mistake happen all the time. You decide you're going to buy your spouse out by liquidating some stock, for example, and you give her 50% of the stock. Well, guess what? When you liquidate the stock, there's tax implications associated with that, right? You have to pay gains, taxes on any gains that are accrued from selling that stock. So really what should happen, if you've got good representation, like the Ox, is you get a discount, right? So if you're going to sell the stock, you're going to take the tax hit. So instead of your spouse getting 50% of the value of the stock, maybe they only get 25% because you're going to have to pay that tax down the road.
That is solid advice coming from Jarrod Oxendine, the owner, CEO, managing partner of Oxendine Law.
I'm not sure you're qualified to answer this one, but shouldn't those boxes include when it says married, single? What about kind of? Kind of.
I don't think that's an option.
Is that not a thing?
On the rocks. So that wouldn't that be great if you actually got a tax break if you're kind of on the rocks and you click that kind of box? Don't you wish it worked that way? A lot of people would be getting a tax break that way.
And what about dependents? Here's the other part. What about the custody part of things? How does that work for dependents going forward?
Support, alimony. I think I know the answer to this.
But even dependents on the return itself.
It's tax deductible, is it not?
Yeah, let's do the dependents first. So if you have primary physical custody, so that means the children live with you the majority of the time, you by law are entitled to claim those children as dependents on your tax return unless you agree otherwise in a court order. Now, on alimony, that used to be deductible and includable as income on your tax return. Actually, when President Trump was in office, that changed. That's one of the things he did that a lot of people didn't like. He got rid of that tax exclusion. So if you're paying alimony now, you can't deduct it from your taxes. If you're receiving alimony, you don't have to count it as income.
All right, let me ask one more. I'm not looking to divorce my children, although I have thought about it. When you have a child who goes to an out-of-state college and they then get residency after a year or two, if they're declaring residency for in-state tuition, are they now no longer a dependent for you?
Well, so it depends. If you are still responsible for providing support for that child, let's say they still live at home a certain time of the year, maybe you're also paying the bill for some of their college expenses, I think you actually can still claim them as a dependent. But if they're completely gone and on their own and they're not residing with you, I think they are now independent and you can't claim them.
So I think the one thing we realize is if you feel like you're stuck in a box, don't worry. Contact the Ox. Jarrod Oxendine, owner, CEO, managing partner of Oxendine Law, oxlawfirm.com is where you can check him out. Enjoy your St. Patrick's Day, Jarrod. We'll talk down the line.
Yeah, let me make this announcement if I can. I want your listeners to know about House Divided. House Divided is my show. It's every Saturday, 10 o'clock a.m. on Xtra 106.3. So we break down all of your family law topics in detail. Be sure to check it out.
We don't wish this upon anybody, but if anybody has a bad day into a bad night, give your phone number one more time. 770-497-8688. Thanks, guys.
You got it. Jarrod Oxendine with